Let's get them for you.
But there's nobody here now. Like when I come in and check the mail and stuff like that, like it'll accumulate for a couple of days because I'm like the only person that comes in and checks it. But
yeah, it's all right.
When the office redid the office. I painted it before I left, and it looks good. It looks
very vibrant.
Looks vibrant and alive.
Yeah, that's all you want.
That's right.
Well, welcome everybody to episode 17.
We're going to check that.
Start over. Welcome everybody to the... All right, wake up, Trevor. Welcome everybody to the Hockey Toolkit. Fuck, I can't even talk.
You're good. You can't just don't even think you're thinking about it too much. Who's number 18? Denny Savard on the Blackhawks?
I think
he was 18?
No, he's 18 or 19. I don't know. So, welcome everybody to the Hockey Toolkit, episode 18. I am Trevor DiCarlo.
I am Andrew Trimble.
It only took me about 15 tries to get through that, but we did end up getting there through the intro. But
episode number 18 for you Chicago fans should be pretty good because there is Denny Savard, one of the greats.
Yep, the man, the myth, the legend.
The master of the spinorama, as Don Cherry called him, a water bug. He was a water bug.
Yep.
We're number 18 for the Blackhawks. This is going to be a good episode for you Chicago fans.
Let's hope so. But, so we, we kind of just took a little bit of a break. I know that I was busy. I've been extremely busy, which is kind of not the norm for me, but it's all right, especially in the summer. I know you've been busy. So, before I go into my long diatribes of stuff, what have you been up to?
Well, we, after coming back from Prague, the EHL Combine out in Prague was really a great event, tons of fun. We've signed four players from the camp, but in total, who attended the camp, we have 6 players coming from Slovakia, the Czech Republic, just from that one camp. That's from our program, and there's other programs who've done really well, like the Union Thunder, Boston Junior Terriers. So it was a really good success for the league to have that EHL Combine. Yeah, and I think they're going to be some of the top players. They're going to be really good talent to add to each team. I came back and was here for about 10 days or so in Laconia, Lakes Region, New Hampshire. We did a huge painting project here at the Merrill Fay Arena, and the office looks bright, shiny, and new. And
I left very vibrant, yes.
very vibrant.
Yes.
Blood red. It's menacing.
Yes. I'm fearful here. I am shaking.
You should be scared. You should be terrified.
I'm always scared.
And then after that, I was able to go out to one of Mike Gumpler's great camps out at the University of Denver, the USJDP hockey camp. And I know we're going to talk about hockey camps more in the episode, but that's a great one if I can recommend that to anybody. Trevor, what do you have going on in your world?
Well, right now, I mean, it's pretty much raining cats and dogs. It's going to be, Dorothy's out there running around looking for Toto I sent you a video of how just nasty it is. So hopefully we get through this without any power outages. But actually, no, I just got back, last week. 2 weeks ago, I was out in Ann Arbor, Michigan, for the TCS Live, the Coaches Site Live, coaching seminar / event, which was... It was awesome. It was fantastic. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But, outside of that, it's just been a lot of, busy work, trying to catch up on stuff, just work-wise as well as socially and just trying, all the above. Still doing some hockey skates here and there. But just trying to get myself now mentally slowly preparing for the fall season, as in just kind of coming up with what, want to accomplish and stuff like that. So that's really all that's going on here. We just got, happy 4th to you.
You too, Trevor.
But, so, I still got all my fingers, missing a couple toes, but, outside of that, everything's good. So
it's wild on, Twitter and all these other things you see, the amount of fireworks accidents that occurs around major holidays. It's wild.
Alcohol, that doesn't help.
I got all 10 of my digits on top and bottom. I think I don't think that's ever going to happen. I'm just not going to put myself in that situation.
I don't get it. So here in Illinois, they are illegal
Really?
to have. Now that doesn't mean jack, because you can literally go right over the border to Wisconsin or Indiana and grab them, and nobody's stopping you. But
Here in New Hampshire, it's land of the free, home of the brave. It's live free or die. So you can get anything you want up here.
Oh my God!
Within reason. They don't. The prostitution's not legal, and then also
that's good.
Cannabis is not legal, which is surprising in New Hampshire considering it's illegal in Massachusetts, Maine, and Vermont.
That is interesting. Wow, man, they are sticklers up there. But yeah, no, I mean that's legal here. The marijuana, but yeah, no, I mean we can't have fireworks, which doesn't deter anybody. I was up until last night until like 1:00 with neighbors just firing crap off until I guess I just had 1:00. So
it's
yeah,
Chicago. Are you sure that wasn't gunfire?
Yeah, I'm a little bit further from the city than people think, but you never know with the way things go. They could be coming out here now, but yeah, no, it's definitely something else. But did you go to the fireworks with the family at all or anything like that?
We went to Maine for a few days. It's like New Hampshire has a really small coastline. It's only about 10 miles or so of coastline. But actually, New Hampshire is on the Atlantic Ocean. People don't think that. But it's like between Massachusetts, New Hampshire, then Maine, it's got the longest coastline. So we went a night or two just in Maine to go to the beach for a little bit. And we didn't see any fireworks because the weather in Maine last night was like a lot of rain and overcast. But we felt them in our soul. We felt this freedom burning brightly.
I think if you've seen like one firework, you've pretty much seen almost all fireworks. But I didn't either. Like I said, I heard them, but as I said, once you see them like, okay, you know what? I'll wait 5 years, see if they get any better, and then we'll go from there. It's like the iPhone. I don't need the very best, next iPhone. I'll wait for like 4 more generations to happen. We'll go from there. But yeah, no, I mean, so yeah, 4th of July was good. But yeah, tell me about the camp that you went to.
So the USJDP, and I think that's a good segue to talk about a little bit about the nature of camps, and I think that's a good topic for our discussion today. Because camps come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. You have coaches camps, like what you attended, which is a great place to sharpen your saw in the off season as a coach and get more information from great speakers. Like, I want to hear all about what you did. Then you have some elite camps, which there's elite hockey camp out here in New Hampton, New Hampshire. A lot of kids like to attend that. I think the JDP camp is right up there. Then you have those chain camps, like you have Turcotte Stick Handling School, you have Laura Stan, you have Pro Ambitions. And those are all, they all have their merits. I think one of the best things about USJDP, and in all fairness, I've worked in years past for Pro Ambitions. I've worked my own camps. I've worked for other people's hockey camps. I like hockey camps. I think they're a great place for a kid to find a love and passion for the game. What makes the USJDP camp exceptional, though, is the curriculum. You're on the ice 2 to 3 times a day. He brings in coaches from all over junior hockey. So there was the Jared Brown from Cedar Rapids in the USHL was there. John Roger was there. Kevin Cunningham was there, who coaches in the NA3. It's a bunch of different guys from all sorts of different leagues. And so their kids are getting a lot of information that is not like we're setting up a lot of obstacles on the ice for power skating or puck skills, but we're giving them what a junior practice would look like, and we're giving them information that they can, like some details that they could take into their game when they go into their game next season. And then he combines with the great facilities at University of Denver, which has, it's phenomenal. Denver's unreal. Like their arena's top notch. Their gym, which they use twice a day, is top notch. Their food,
top notch.
Oh man, I didn't want to go home. So it's pretty phenomenal. Tell me about the coaches site, though, Trev.
Well, real quick. So when you say kids, are we talking what are the age groups for that camp?
Good question. So yeah, the age group really for that camp is like 14 to 18.
Okay, so you're about
so it's like teens, late teens mostly.
Okay,
kids who are preparing to get into junior hockey.
Got it. Okay, yeah, no, that sounds great, especially kind of getting the kids getting their toes a little bit, dipping their toes in the pool just to see what's going on at those levels, and definitely recognize quite a few of those names. But yeah, the TCS Live, you know what? I went in with like very little expectations. I just wanted to see what was going to happen. And they I mean, they knocked it out of the park. They had, I want to say, over 350 people in attendance.
Wow.
But not even that portion of it. But I mean, the amount of guests, speakers they had was great. I mean, we're talking about guys that are coaching in Major Junior, USHL, NHL, AHL. I mean, we had Pete DeBoer there. We had Ryan Huska, the new head coach over in Calgary. And then, what's his face? The coach in Edmonton. He's the...
Used to be McClellan there. He's not there now.
It's the assistant coach, though. It was the guy who was coaching in, I think, Calgary beforehand. Or I forgot who.
Terry Crisp?
No, that's maybe 20 years ago. Or 30 years ago, probably. Let's see. God, I'll remember it later. But it was, again, we had pros there. We had some coaches that were over from Germany, from...
That's unbelievable.
From all over Europe, as well as, the women's side. And again, it was, and then you just had even just regular youth coaches. So it was cool. Each day you started off at the Powers Auditorium there in downtown Ann Arbor. You're on the college campus the entire 3 days, unless you stay at a hotel. Ours was off campus, but you're there for like 3-4 hours. And then you take a nice 1.5 mile walk through downtown Ann Arbor down to the Yost Ice Arena, where they would provide lunch, and then after that we would go into like 3 or 4 on ice. Like, I want to say about 3 on ice sessions each time for about half hour, 45 minutes each, and then you get to make that nice 1.5 mile walk back up to Powers Arena, or not arena, but Powers Auditorium, where I was hurting. Day 3, I did not bring the right shoes to be walking 1.5 miles one way. I had some blisters, but I toughed it out. But so did that, and then after you got back, you would do like a couple more, just brief, seminars, and then that was it for the day. I mean, they had a lot of networking stuff, but typically at the end of each, so the first day they had, more of like a motivational coach there who, fantastic, the guy was like on speed. He was just so
remember
great.
his name?
It's gonna kill me now, so I'm gonna.
But he's got like YouTube videos. I'd love to look him up.
Let's see here, TCS Live. I'll probably cut this part out. See what the schedule was. So, and then I'll see exactly who had. So we had Carla McLeod, who was the head coach of the Czechia women's national team. That was a great one. Dan Arell, who works for the San Diego Oilers, director of coaching education. Let's see here. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. So actually, Derek Lalonde was, is this Lalonde or Lalonde, the head coach of the Red Wings?
Lalonde, yeah.
Yeah, Lalonde. He was there for just simple habits on the power play. But hold on, Glenn. What's his face? God, and now I can't. Holtzen or Glutzen. That's what it was. Glenn Gulutzan. Gulutzan. Yeah. Littering. Anyhow, so he was there. But yeah, so the at the end of the last one, it was Psychology of Leadership. It was by Ryan Blank. He's the founder and CEO of Deviate. Again, it was great. The communication, a lot of it was just kind of talking. How do we talk? What do we say? This, just. Again, I wish I would have taken more notes, and I'll get in that in a second. The end of the second day, though, they had Dr. Jody Carrington, and I'll tell you what, she's a psychologist. Hers was leading a connected culture. She was fantastic, like amazing. Like, she kept all of us like on our toes, and
that's great.
I mean, she might as well have been like, she had the mouth of a sailor, but she was really good.
What's her name again? I'll look it up.
Her name was Dr. Jody Carrington. She's written a few books, but again, hers was powerful. I mean, she's like one of those people where if I like had to see a psychologist, she would be the one I would want to see, just because like she gives it to you straight, but she's got a sense of humor, and like I said, she's got like one of those like sailors, mouth of a sailor. But I mean, we had Matt Smaby from the Waterloo Blackhawks. We had Brandon Naranjo had interviewed by Dr. Kathy Babick, who's the professor of sports management at University of Michigan, and Brandon's the one who just took over. Or he was last year the head coach, and he will be this year as well. And then again, there's so many people. It's just like it's so many different names. I don't want to leave anybody out, but
that's a phenomenal list, and I'm sure you got a ton of great information.
Yeah,
all over the map too.
And, at the very end, this is probably for some people, it's hit or miss, but they had the very last thing they had was Elliot Friedman was there with interviewing Mike Babcock, reliving the
Very
2010 gold medal game. So they showed some clips there. They talked about it. It was funny because at the time, basically the unwritten, not unwritten, but everybody knew that Mike Babcock was going to get signed by Columbus to become their head coach. But as he said, he goes, well, and I'm currently still being paid, for the $7 million by the Leafs. So he basically had to wait until July 1st before they could announce that he was the head coach. So he wouldn't say it out loud, and Friedman's just sitting there like, come on, I know I'm the one who broke the news. Come on, like let's. And but his was actually good. I mean, it was entertaining. The guy's a no-nonsense kind of guy, but I don't know. I know he's got his, and that's probably a discussion for another day, the issues that he had when he was out in, not only in Detroit, but up in, Toronto. But
I read his book. I thought that, he came across pretty articulate, obviously, when you have a chance to proofread, right?
No, but yeah.
But it was all about that 2010 gold medal game, that book that he recently came out with, and it was good. It was a good book. I'd recommend it.
And it's funny, like the one thing that I liked that kind of going around with it was, and this is what myself and I went with my friend and mentor Randy Jordan. We talked about it was, you've got all these guys from all these same NHL club, like same league NHL, and you're going over what let's see, for example, Glenn Goldson, he's going over the their defensive zone coverage in, Edmonton. But then you've got Pete DeBoer, who's going over, offensive zone concepts that they use in Dallas. Then you've got Ryan Huska, who's going over the PK switches and stuff, to apply pressure, and he's with the Flames. So it was like there's not really many secrets amongst the teams, and it's I kind of relate that back to the parents these days who are like, oh, our kids need to know this forecheck or this breakout or these set plays, and it's like, look, there's really no like hidden secrets in hockey. There's really no like everybody kind of plays the same style. Maybe some want something a little bit different, but it just to me it was just like, here are these guys who are going to be competing against each other next year. And they had, here, this is what we do. Like, no big deal. So I thought that was kind of funny. But honestly, overall, again, next year, for sure, I'll be going back. It's in Ann Arbor again. I really enjoyed it. So I got a lot of information. One thing that was not rough, was... again, with so much information, you got to they put slides up, and I finally just started doing like half of everybody else was doing was like taking pictures of like the slides because you just didn't have enough time, and I felt like I wasn't able to really mentally like grasp everything because I'm just sitting there taking notes. So finally the third day I just put my notebook down and I was like, you know what, if it resonates with me, I'll remember it. Which I did, some stuff, and then I've written it down, but like it's just like I didn't want to be buried in a notebook all day. So
I feel you.
It was good though. I mean, honestly, it was great, the ability to network with so many people that I've talked to over Twitter, just in general. it was fun. I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to any coach out there who has the funds and the time availability to go. I think that's something that all coaches should look into doing. Is I know with USA Hockey they want us to do the continuing education type stuff. And the one thing that was nice about this was it wasn't slanted towards Hockey Canada or USA Hockey. Like, it was just whatever. Like, it was just, there was no agendas, there was no governing body. It was for whoever. So
Yeah.
again, you're sitting here and I'm listening to the guys from Norway. I'm listening to the head coach of the women's Czechia's women's national team. So overall, I mean, it was fantastic. Again, I would recommend it for anybody that's interested.
Well, that's one of the I think the summer is a great place to begin your next season. It's not a place I think that anybody's season should die, players or coaches. I think that in terms of my perspective as a coach, I'm eager to do summer camps when they're the right fit for like my schedule and things like that. Because I can use them as recruiting tools. There's a player or two out there at the Denver camp that might fit into our split season teams so they play at prep school or things like that. But I also get to intermingle with some great guys and get some feedback and watch practices and pick up a new drill or two. And they get to push pucks for me. I push pucks for them, and that's great stuff. And you can gain so much information. And I always say to young coaches that they always want to be a head coach or they always want to coach a team during the season, but you can make some really huge gains just by getting in the off season, going to one or two camps, and it opens up so many platforms or different opportunities down the road because you've gained more knowledge, you've gained more experience, you've mingled with coaches, and you found out the right way to do things, the wrong way to do things. So don't waste that opportunity. In the summer, coaches, get out there and take some other challenges on because you can really, really improve your style and coaching ability.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. The other one they had that recently was the one down in Nashville that was put together by the NHL Coaches Association. I just, honestly, for the full, it was only one day. It cost almost the same as this TCS Live. Maybe next year I'll give it a shot as well, but I just couldn't see just how much they were offering for this. It was just so much, and it was so many different things. So much and so variety of different stuff that, again, I enjoyed it a whole lot. I plan on going next year, Lord willing. Well,
before we get into a kid's perspective on what they should look for in camps, and what they should strive to accomplish in the off season, I think doing a comparison and contrast of our experiences with other coaches and learning from other coaches and with other coaches at those types of events we just attended, compared to what USA Hockey's doing with their module training and their in-person seminars, what would you say are some of the positives and negatives when you compare and contrast those two entities, where it's like you have this privately funded coaches site or going to another camp and mingling with other coaches compared to like the modules that you have to take from USA Hockey or the training that you have to take as level 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. from USA Hockey? What are some of the strengths? What are some of the weaknesses?
I think strength-wise, again, I think USA Hockey was ahead of the curve than Hockey Canada with the long-term athlete development, especially putting together, doing a lot more station-based practices at the younger ages, playing half-ice or cross-ice games, whatever it was. The ADM, obviously, I think they were ahead of the curve on that. That said, as we've spoken before, even with Dave Starman, it was, okay, well, but how do... I felt like it was just kind of like a guide, but not enough info, I guess you could say. I don't know. I feel like just USA Hockey's just... The ones that I've attended, and again, I haven't had to attend one since probably 2015, 2014, maybe.
Yeah.
My level 4. It was always just about ADM, this, and that, where, these privately funded ones, they're just more broad. There's no agenda. There's no, literally you've got one person who comes up who coaches at one level saying, oh, this is what we do. And then you've got a coach from another level or a different league who says, well, we do the complete opposite, and this is how we, what we do. Whereas when you're at, those USA Hockey ones, and I'm sure they're probably the same with, Hockey Canada. It's, well, this is what we want to do. This is the standardization, what we want to do. So I feel like there's a little bit more, there's different ideas and there's different reasons why they do those things. And it sparks more of a thought process as a coach. Like, okay, well, which one do I agree with? Which one do I want to implement? So I feel like that's a strength and a weakness of, again, USA Hockey ones. I'm going to be quite honest. USA Hockey level 1 and 2, I don't know about you, even 3, I was bored out of my mind.
Yeah. No, I would say that's my opinion. That's the biggest weakness of that those in-person seminars is the 1, 2, and 3 is the constant redundancy. Like you should be able to test out of that stuff. If you did level 1 and you had a good year, you retained that knowledge. Now you sign up for level 2. Like we should be able to speed up that process so we can get higher level information, because it felt like literally I attended level 1 year and I got the same exact information at level 2, and I got basically the same exact information at level 3, except it was a longer day. Level 4
Right.
had some more stuff, but still, like you got to speak to all these great different coaches. And here in New Hampshire, we have Bobby Rodriguez. He's a great coach in chief. He's the coach at Keene State. He works with Larry Rocco, who's the head coach at St. Anselm College, NCAA Division II. They're both really great guys, but it's just them driving the whole weekend, driving the whole bus. Like, get some other speakers. We're here in New Hampshire. We're 90 minutes from Boston. Like, you got plenty of coaches who can talk, And that's not a criticism of Bobby and Larry. They do a great job. But I think we can get more cooks in the kitchen.
I'm going to be honest, I don't even know who does the Illinois right now. USA Hockey ones, because I haven't had to take them in a while, and I couldn't even remember them when I was doing it, because that's just, sadly, I was just bored. I felt a lot of it was, and this is my level 3, was when we actually had to go on the ice for ours, which they don't even do anymore. Honestly, I feel I get more out of the modules now than I ever did with any of the clinics. And while a lot of the modules do as well with USA Hockey feel redundant on their own, I feel like I do get some more information out of those than just being at the USA Hockey clinics. And again, I don't feel, I feel like there's not enough people, at least, not qualified is not the right word, but I just wasn't interested in like the guests they had. It was like 3 or 4 guests, and that was it. And we're talking like 2.5, 3 days almost for level 4. So I think that going outside of the norm and doing something like this, I thought it was very beneficial. And again, like I said, I think if anybody wants to strive to become better coaches, there's so many different means out there. I know that this entire weekend, or that entire weekend, will eventually be up on the coach's site. You can watch all the seminars and such. You got to have a subscription for it. So that'll be up there, but and you can go and read books. Plenty of books out there about coaching hockey. You can read, like the Hockey Planner on Substacks. There's just so much out there. I think trying to get better as a coach, especially we talking about the summer, before we talk about players here. I think there's a lot we can do as coaches. And again, you don't have to go up to Michigan for a seminar or something. You can't afford it, you can't do it. Most of us are doing this, as like a part-time gig. It's not my full-time job, so I had to burn 3 or 2 vacation days to go, which was fine. I was happy about it, but some people just don't have that luxury. So, I think that's that's just one thing about it. But, what are your thoughts, strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with everything that you said. I think as a young coaches who want to get into coaching, I think there has to be an acceptance that everything you do is either going to cost a little money or not make you a ton of money. So you got to get out there and you got to listen and you got to learn from other coaches. No matter how high level a player you were, I think finding out how to communicate, finding out different systems and structures and how operations work makes a big difference and really prepares you for what you're going through. And it's not like you can't go to just one summer worth of stuff. It's got to be like a consistent thing where every year you get a little bit better and you acquire more information. There's a couple of great young coaches that we have out here in New Hampshire that always ask me for different different ideas. And I say the same thing. Is like, don't try to do it all on your own. Like, be an assistant coach for a little bit, learn from other people, and humble yourself a little bit and go work at camp where maybe you're not making a ton of money, but like you're learning how they do things. If you want to be able to do things on your own, you gotta watch how other people do it. You can't just be like, well, I'm just going to throw it together. It takes time, and I think that there's a lot to be learned from that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So I mean, if you have the means, if you have the ability, there's nothing wrong with always, there's absolutely nothing wrong with trying to get better as a coach. And I think that we should all, as coaches, especially not only for ourselves but for the kids' sakes, try and learn more, get new information, become better coaches, because at the end of the day, that produces better players.
Yeah, one of the best things I ever did, honestly, I'm going to say in 2015-16 at Christmas break, the kids go home for the holidays. This was with our EHL elite team, it was called at the time. I reached out over Christmas break to Hubie McDonough. He was running the Manchester Monarchs. They were in the AHL at the time. I sent him a quick email and said, hey, Hubie, I'm in Laconia. I run a junior program up here. I'd love to just go watch your practice. Hockey guys are good guys for the most part. Hubie was like, sure, we practice tomorrow at 9. What time, can I get you a coffee? He was like the most best human being I ever met in my life. So I sat next to Hubie. I watched their practice. I think they went to the AHL. They might have won the Calder Cup that year. They were really, really good. They had like, what's the guy? Nick Dowd was on the team.
Okay.
They had a bunch of really good guys. I think if you go up on EP, we could see they had a 6 squad that year. It was one of their last years in the American League. And then a couple years after that, and getting some good information about different practice ideas, he actually said, well, you should bring your team out for one day. So our team went out like a month later and went out and practiced with the AHL staff for like 30 minutes. And that was kind of unbelievable.
That's awesome.
Then a couple years down the road, Rich Seeley was the GM. He was the head coach. He's now the head coach the GM for the Ontario Reign out in California. Rich, I sent him an email at the end of the season. Was like, hey, I have some different ideas about overtime, 3-on-3, 4-on-3. What are you guys doing? He said, well, just come down for a practice. So I came down and I hung out with those guys for like a morning. Him and Jeff Giuliano, who's the assistant now at UNH. I'm totally name dropping here, but I want to give perspective on how accessible these guys are. You shoot them an email.
I get it. You're cooler than I am. Cool.
no, but I literally was, it's just an email. I shot them an email and they were like, yeah, come down. Sure. And it was, I gained so much information just from those guys, just from hanging out with them for a morning. And I don't think that's off limits to a lot of other coaches. If you guys shoot an email or something like that, most guys are pretty accommodating. And you can get so much out of it.
Again, it's just making that move. I mean, a lot of people, I think, just are kind of afraid of what they're going to do. But again, I mean, if a coach is like, "Hey, can I come out to one of your practices? I'm struggling with this or that," I'd be like, "Sure, hell yeah." I mean, what are you struggling with? I'll make sure my practice has a little bit of that, flavor into it. But yeah,
and it breaks up the monotony too for your guys.
Absolutely.
A new fresh face.
I've done it before where I've had again different coaches come out that I've had where I'm like, hey, my team's really struggling with their skating, and again, you and I both know. I mean, one practice isn't going to make or break the is not going to change everything overnight. But hearing as you said, hearing a different voice, having a different just somebody else, different drills, something.
Yeah.
As you said, could break up that monotony and. Maybe somebody gets something out of it. That's what you basically hope for. But on the player side, summertime. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm a big advocate for hockey camps. I think hockey camps are great. I think kids too often now the big thing is like spring teams or summer teams, and I do a summer team here in New Hampshire, but it's one tournament and we practice for a couple times with a workout right before the tournament. It's not like all summer long. So it's just kind of a snapshot. And I think that when kids just keep playing games all summer, they miss such a growth opportunity if they're not attending camps or high-level individual or skills training. And, there's a camp for everybody out there, whether it's a power skating camp run by Laura Stam, which is, I think, in my opinion, great for like 10 to 16-year-olds. Turcotte Stickley School. I think I went when I was like 13 or 14. That was a great camp. You have a lot of college camps you can go to. I remember Providence College used to have a great camp in the 80s and 90s, and Lou Lamoriello actually used to like work at the camp and used to be the guy at the camp. I remember seeing his bald head when I went to it when I was a kid. But it was an awesome camp. It was a great camp. And then now they have these huge businesses like Pro Ambitions and other ones that I think there's value and merits to all those camps, but you got to find the right fit. And I think you should definitely consider camps over summer teams, tournament teams, even summer house league and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I think you got to obviously limit yourself, not being, doing one camp one week, one camp the next, obviously.
Oh, for sure.
Because you do get some people that are just, the kids are consistently at camps, and you need some of that downtime. You need some of that time away from the rink and just playing other sports, and just also save some money in mom and dad's pocketbook. But, I do like having kids, when I hear, oh, they're going to this camp or that, sometimes even locally, we'll check it out. I'll just check out a day or, a session. Hell, you can pull it up on Live Barn, what they're doing. I think really the most important part is just making sure that, A, it's going to be fun for your kid. There's some socializing. Maybe if he's going with some buddies, maybe if not, God forbid kids got to try and learn how to make friends nowadays, on their own. I went to Michigan State by myself, and by the end of the week, I was the most hated player there. So, it was,
Congrats.
Yeah, well, that's because when you play like I did in the scrimmages, that's what happens. But my roommate at least liked me, I thought. So anyhow, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think they're important. I think they're good. I think the big thing is you want to make sure that when you're doing these camps, that again they're going to be quality. You're going to have a good coach to player ratio, and again, most of these camps, if you've got a coach to every 9-10 kids, you're lucky, but you want to make sure those coaches are also though like active, because I've been to camps where I've seen coaches are basically just holding up the boards, while the one guy who runs the camp and he's paying those coaches a little bit here and there, a little bit money, but he's basically the one who's scooping up the big chunk of the pie because it's their name on it. They're the ones who are running everything, and everybody else is just like, oh, just here, make sure you stand in line. So I think I do like hockey camps. When I was growing up, the Blackhawks had one I went to. That was fun. Again, Michigan State I did. Kenny McCudden used to be the Wolves skills instructor or director of skills, and then works for the Columbus Blue Jackets, I think right now still as an assistant coach. I went to his camps. Again, all fun. I think I was basically aged out by the time Pro Ambitions kind of came around. But again, it's more or less just make sure that you feel like whatever you're investing your time and your money into, your kid's going to get the most out of it. And again, as you said, players, that's really, I'm not a huge fan of the whole summer teams and stuff like this. Let's drive out of town, go to this, go to that, especially at the younger ages, but to each his own. Some of them I think they're just kind of fly-by-night, teams and stuff like that, which is fine if you want to go with your buddies, but I think there's a lot of people that feel like they're missing out. You got that FOMO of oh, no, my kid's not doing anything. He's not doing hockey. He's going to get passed by, little Timmy over here. Well, maybe, doubtful in the long scheme of things, so hit or miss for me, but I do like hockey camps. I do like one or two a year, or the summer, and then go from there.
As you were saying, I think that's the biggest crippling thing you could do to a kid is to really accelerate burnout, is to sign them up for 6 weeks of camps, whether it's the same camp or different camps. Like, they do need a break, and they do need to be a kid, and they do need to play other sports, and they do need to be outside and swim in the pool and all that kind of stuff. So I think 1 or 2 camps is great if they're spaced out. You get into that 2-week stretch, if they're doing them back-to-back, that can be really a challenge for a kid mentally, not to see his friends and be sleeping away from home at 10, 11 years old, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But, so, again, it's just keep it real.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot here. Big spot here. Okay?
All right.
You ready?
Well, never, but let's get it go.
What's the best hockey camp you ever attended or saw or witnessed? Like you were in the building for, coached with, or attended yourself? What's the best one?
Best one off the top of my head. I honestly feel like I got the most out of the Kenny McCudden ones because Kenny did a great job. He did a lot of the demonstrating, but the coaches that he had that were with him were at the time were Chicago Freeze players, and this is back when you had the USHL, but it wasn't as much of a split between the NA and the USHL. But and they were they were qualified coaches. They were serious about it. They were great at demonstrating as well. They kept you honest. So I did that. I actually did 2 of his, and they were great. I mean, we were on the ice twice a day. You're out of the same rink. I went in knowing nobody. And I ended up leaving with friends at different clubs. So those were my favorite. Close second would probably be the Michigan State one. But, again, I mean, we got to skate at, God, what is their rink called now? It's killing me. What is it? Damn it. Well, you got to skate at the college rink. And we got the new, well, whatever is new, but we also got to, play floor hockey in the old rink. So that was pretty badass too.
Fun.
The kids, the talent level was really unreal. There was a lot of talented kids. That one, it was fun. The only thing that really sucked, kind of that one, it was a stay away overnight like one, and we had to stay in the dorms that had no AC. So you were basically
Yikes.
bringing in middle of July, and a fan's not going to help when they put 2 guys to a room, and the dorm room. Yeah, exactly. And the dorm room was made for 1 person, and you've got two hockey players on cots. It just sucked. That part stunk, but food was good, like you said. Colorado College, or University of Colorado, or was it Denver? Sorry, Denver. Fucking my life.
The food was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the food was great, and we were actually there at the same time as the volleyball camp, so that was fun, too, and then you got to see the girls and their coaches. My God, they got the
Amazons.
The Michigan State women's volleyball players. They were 6'6", 6'5", and I'm just looking up at them, and I was like, please don't hurt me. So that was fun. I mean, it was fun. It just, the whole just staying overnight, the whole sleeping and sweating. I mean, I think I lost more weight sleeping than I did actually skating. So, but how about yourself? How about what do you got?
I attended a lot of camps when I was a kid, from the age of probably 11 on, all the way to high school graduation. I attended a lot of college camps and local camps. I loved Laura Stam. I thought that you could go to a Laura Stam clinic and you could gain some information and improve your game in literally a weekend. She really was and she's not as big now, but in this 80s and 90s, she was the guru when it came to power skating and really detailed on stride mechanics and things like that. So I definitely think Laura Stam made a big impact on my skating stride in a short amount of time. I didn't attend a million of her camps, but the ones I did were really valuable. And then I always have a soft space in my heart for the Ocean Hockey School in Bricktown, New Jersey on Chambers Bridge Road. In the 80s and 90s, that place was sick. It had its own dormitory right behind the rink. It had its own pool. It had its own street hockey court. So you're on the ice twice a day. You had off-ice skills. You had shoot hockey tournament all week at night. You had Jim Dowd always coming in and out of the building. It was great. It was just a great, great camp. And, the food was garbage. Grade D but edible meat by Joan Doulette, the former owner. The jerseys were completely cheap. They were the thinnest material I've ever imagined. But I have some great memories from going to the Ocean Hockey School. Then I got a chance when I was older to work at the Ocean Hockey School, and I got to be a counselor and a coach, and that was fun. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I have nothing but great memories from Ocean Hockey School. And then, I went back a couple years ago, and the dormitory's decrepit, and the pool's concreted in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, it's just the memories, I can't believe it's like this. And then actually, so funny story, they had this, it was Doc Doulette, Joan's father, built the rink because one of his oldest daughters was a figure skating coach. And my dad always had this fun relationship with Doc Dulett. Nobody really talked to him because he was like this really quiet old guy, and he would be out there like mowing the lawn in this big field they had behind the rink where we all played soccer. But nobody knew who he was, and then my dad would be like, "Hey, Doc, how you doing, buddy?" So and he was like, "Oh, how you doing?" And he was the real mover and shaker over there. But that was always a great camp.
No, that's again, it's funny. Like again, we're older now, and we still get to remember all those things, especially down to the nitty gritty with the food stuff. Funny how that seems more important nowadays. But
I had never seen eggs like that you pour like.
Oh yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Like what is that? Like I thought eggs came out of a chicken's butt. Like you crack it open, you make the egg.
No, they put it. Yeah.
You go to the ocean hockey school, and it's like they just pour it out like milk, and all of a sudden you got eggs there. It's like, well, they don't taste like eggs.
Yeah. Oh God. Well, good thing I'm not eating dinner tonight. So well, it wasn't. Well, not now, but yeah. No. So that's good. Those are all good times, and again, it's great that you remember these things, and our jobs as coaches is make sure kids, whatever they attend at camp or training with us, that they got their own stories that are fun and they enjoyed it, or they at least got something out of it.
Absolutely. If there was one piece of advice you could tell to a parent on picking a camp, what would it be?
Again, I'm really big on the ROI, your return on investment. Like how many coaches are going to be there, how many kids are going to be on the ice, and how much are you going to be on? Is your child going to be on the ice? I think those are all really important. To me, that is. We are in. Well, maybe we're in a recession, maybe we're not. I don't know. People say whatever, but again, it's really what are you getting your money's worth? You pay a lot of money during the regular season. Now you're sending your kid to do some type of camp, so I really think it's just who's the coach, how are they running the camp, how many coaches are they going to have, helping them, how many kids are going to be on the ice, and then just how many ice touches you get. I know that's a lot. It's like 4 things right there, but I think those are really 4 key things. How about yourself?
The curriculum. What is the objective of the camp? What will my kid at the end of the week or whatever length of period of the camp is, what is he supposed to have learned? And how are we going to get there? So if like you said, if it's 1 practice a week with an off ice, or is it 2? How is he going to acquire all the skills necessary within that time constraint to acquire like a advanced level of knowledge after only a few days? So the curriculum, I think, is important.
I don't get it. I don't know why people call like a 4-week, we're going to do all these summer camps, and it's like you're on the ice like twice a week, and that's it. Like you're going to do like a summer skates, like summer skill sessions. Yeah,
Yes, I've seen that recently too.
It's like, we got these summer camps, and it's like, you're on the ice every Monday and Wednesday for 5-6 weeks. It's like, that's not a camp. A camp's a week long, and that's it. What you're doing is summer skates or skill sessions or whatever. But I don't know. That's my.
There's a company down in Hooksett, south of here, and they always promote like elite summer camps, and it's like on the ice Monday, workout Wednesday. 8 weeks.
What is that?
What the fuck was that, bro?
Right. What are you going to do the other 3 days of the week? And, it's...
Sleep at the rink and just wait for the next session?
Right. I guess. Maybe, I don't know. So I think you just got to really label it the correct way. And I think that also can be deceiving for parents. So that's something you might want to look out for, too. Make sure you're signing your kid up for... if you want your kid to be on the ice once a week, sign them up for skills, or training or whatever. If you want your kid to be on the ice for a whole week, sign them for a damn camp. There you go. And
definition of a camp is you show up Monday or Sunday, 40 kids, maybe 50. You don't know anybody except for the buddy who's next to you who you signed up with.
Right.
And then by the end of the week, you have 1 million stories. That's a camp.
That's, to me, I'll put a pin on that one, put it on my board here, and I 1,000% agree on that one.
All right, what do you got for 5 minutes, Trevor?
Well, let's see. This week, we are going to be talking about the 5 myths of... Drum roll. We are talking about the 5 myths of summer hockey. And actually, it's your topic, so... You've got 1, 3, and 5. I just got 2 and 4. So, Coach, what's your first myth of summer hockey?
Number one is you should play just for fun. I think fun is an important element of summer hockey. I think a lot of that fun comes from getting new coaches, getting new teams, getting new kids on your team, getting new jerseys, showing up to the rink in flip-flops. Like that's part of the fun. But you should also have a goal in mind. If you want to get better and if you want to advance your career, think about the programs you're signing up for and make sure that they are aligned with your goals. If you struggle to skate, don't sign up for a million puck handling camps. If you struggle to, if you're a high school kid and you want to play against tougher competition, don't sign up for the middle school league. Make sure you sign up for the appropriate camp so that you can get the most out of your summer experience. I would just say, your dollars only go so far, so make sure that you get the most out of them.
No, for sure. I think it's a little misleading because we do want, it should be for fun as well. But I think you're right. I mean, if you're a kid who, you want to be a well-rounded player. So if you really need to work on your, power skating, make sure it's more power, skating focused, but also don't be afraid to mix and match. As you said, there's a stick handling camp or a shooting camp or just a regular camp in general where you're going to be doing all that stuff. I think that's important too. So, number 2, it's important to go to numerous hockey camps. As we already just talked about before, I don't think it is. I think maybe 1 or 2. Even if you go to 1, I mean, really, again, the summer is at the younger ages. It's time for you to kind of recharge, play other sports, become, more of a, that long-term athlete development, become a better athlete in general, but get away from the rink. Again, I see so many people that are, we're doing 3-on-3 here and we're doing 3-on-3 here and we're doing this camp and this guy's camp and this skills. It's like, when does the kid have a chance to breathe? Yeah. So again, for me, it's, just more or less, 1 or 2 here and there. I mean, if your kid wants to play 3-on-3, great. Whatever is up to your kid wants to do. But as I said before, don't have that, that fear of missing out where if your kid's not doing a hockey camp every week or this guy's camp or this camp, in my opinion, you don't have to go to all those. Keep it realistic and keep it kind of, simple, stupid.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that it's a common mistake that parents make is they want to give and it's a mistake that's in the right place. You want to give your kid every opportunity. You want to give your kid every chance to be successful, but inevitably you can kind of hurt them more than help them sometimes when you sign them up for everything and it's not player driven. If the player doesn't want to do it, if he's on kind of in half in, half out, well then do one thing that he's really excited about, and then the rest of the summer let him be a kid, and that'll develop that long-term athletic ability when he's doing other sports, but also give him a chance to decompress and miss the game a little bit. When you miss the game and you get back on the ice, there's nothing better.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What do you got for number 3, Coach?
Number 3, you have to play at blank to be seen by scouts. And we see that a lot at the junior level out here on the East Coast. Everybody wants to get on a pre-draft team or a Chowder Cup team. You're shaking your head, Trevor.
I'm just shaking it because it's everywhere. It's not just out east. It's everywhere. But go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, if that's the criteria, then why do you play the season, right? like you play 50 games in the season. Yeah. You play at multiple showcases and tournaments and playoffs during the year. You have your USA Hockey Festival tryouts during the year. It culminates, at the end in the summer in July in Buffalo. But you don't have to play all these tournaments in the summer. Like, I remember a parent a couple of years ago was like, well, my kid's playing in the World Youth Championships in Philadelphia in June and this and that. I was like, I don't know what that is. What is that? Like, what is that? Yeah. Is that the World Cup or something? Is that is he going to Beijing and playing against Europe and Norway?
Right.
No, he's playing against another team from Philadelphia. I don't give a shit.
Right.
Nobody gives a shit.
No, nobody cares.
So just be careful what you're buying, parents. Make sure, you don't have to go to all these summer showcases. You don't have to go to the mini pre-draft combine or whatever it is. Just yeah, go ahead, Trevor.
No, I mean, and that's why I was shaking my head that was the one thing that killed me was going as a scout a recruiter for the tier 3 clubs that I worked for, whether it was, out in Rochester or Steele County, was some of them I would see the same kid. If I went to like 3 of them locally, I'd see the same kid at the same ones. And then if I was talking to like a player, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, what are your other options? This fall, just to, get an idea. Well, I'm going to go to this so-and-so's pre-draft camp. And again, as I've said before, I'm coming from a tier 3 club and I'm the only tier 3 coach talking to you. There's other tier 2 coaches here. They're not talking to you, but you're going to go to their camp. Fine. Okay. Hey, you know what? Give it a shot. See where you're at. Hopefully it gives you some realistic expectations. And then you'd hear, well, and then after that tier 2 camp, I'm going to go to this tier 2 camp. And it's like, dude, like you're pretty much paying a season, like a tuition. You're paying your entire fall fees in a summer when either you go back and play, AAA, or you just sign with me right now and we could save you a whole bunch of money. But as you said, you got parents that are again, it's that fear of missing out of, if we're not at this camp, not at that camp. Like, at a certain point, you got to be realistic here. And I think, too many people spend way too much money chasing at the junior level, chasing teams that they have no business being on because they're just not skilled or talented enough for those, and that's the hard truth of it. And I think it's also just trying to not weasel. That's not the right word. I think you're just trying to trying to get involved with something that you're not going to get into. Like, again, I've sat up with the coaches. We sit there and we're just like, okay, why is this kid here? Like, I hope the kid doesn't get fucking killed, really, is what it comes down to. So it's like, definitely you gotta, it's not just East Coast, it's Midwest, it's probably Central, or not Illinois, Central America, the Central time zone, like the Minnesota area, it's on the West Coast, it's everywhere. You got too many kids hopping from one to the other thinking that one's gonna give them a better chance. Like, again, if you're good enough, we'll find you.
Absolutely. But, I would say that in terms of what you just said, that pool of money, right? Unless you're, Bill Gates' kids or Walton or something, there's a limited amount of money, right? So, like, let's say you're going to invest $3,000 into camps in the summer. Like, that's your goal. Maybe you did that last summer. You went to the NA Combine at 4 different locations, a pre-draft camp, whatever it may be, and it cost you $3,000. You'd be better off. And I'd like to see, like, you compare one year to the next, taking $1,200 of that money and giving it to a private instructor to do summer skating or skills sessions, taking another $500 and playing in the 3-on-3 summer league, and then taking the remaining balance of $1,300 and getting a personal trainer. And he could, where he could be there multiple days a week, work out, get stronger. I guarantee, without a shadow of a doubt, I don't make many guarantees in life.
He doesn't, folks.
But I will guarantee you'll be a better hockey player at the end of the summer from that investment rather than just touring around the globe trying out for every other team. And your kid will be more confident. If a kid gets cut all summer, he's going to go into the season being like, I suck.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah. No, I that's a perfect place in a way of spending your money efficiently and getting a good ROI on it. Now, for number 4, I did kind of just, bear with me, folks, but I did kind of just like, it's like, playing devil's advocate here. Not devil's advocate. Fuck, man, my metaphors are off today. I'll make sure I drink more coffee before I jump on next time. I think it's more or less, I know I just, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here, but number 4 is scouts and coaches will find you. Here's the thing. If you're a kid who's going to end up playing Tier 3, you haven't talked to anybody throughout the season, and you're in that range, again, this is where you have to have an honest self-assessment of yourself as a player. Doing 1 or 2 camps is not a bad thing for you. I don't know, camps, I mean by like showcases. Global's a fantastic one. I know we've talked about a few others. CCM's another fantastic one. I think those are good. I'm not a huge fan of, as we said before, the pre-draft camps, unless there's other teams that are going to be attending those. I know a couple years ago, this is probably before the pandemic, so, I could call, instead of BC, it's PP, pre-pandemic. But I remember out here, the the Dells Ducks, the Chicago was the Cougars, and who was the other one? Grand Rapids City, the River Kings, all had, they're all owned under the same kind of conglomerate, but they were all there. They had all their coaches there, and it was just one giant showcase in front of all three teams. Like, I think those are good.
That's smart, yeah.
But doing again, like, going out for, let's just say, the junior Trevors, of the Tier 2 part of the North American Hockey League, just going to their pre-draft camp, like, you got to know where you're at, and if you're paying them, $300 for that, 4 skates, are you really getting a lot out of it, or 5 skates, and you're only being seen by one team? So I think if you're going to spend the money and go to the camps and the showcases, mainly showcases, where you're going to get the most amount of eyes on you as possible. Because, again, if you're not getting seen in the regular season, most likely you're not going to be the type of player who should be, pushing towards those Tier 2 camps. And, again, for the record, I have no problem with a player saying, hey, I want to go to this pre-draft camp. You know what? I think it's good exposure for yourself to see where you're at. And, again, that helps with that honest self-player assessment. But don't be, as we said before, don't be chasing them.
Absolutely. I was actually going to do a mathematical equation.
Don't hurt yourself.
I know. But then it kind of backfired. I was like, okay, so it's $300. You play 4 games. Maybe you play 20 minutes a game. That's 80 minutes for the weekend. That's you're going to blow your mind how much you're wasting your money. But it was like $3.75 per shift, which still seems doesn't seem like a good investment. But it was not as bad as I thought.
Well, but I mean, who are you playing in front of, though?
For sure.
Again,
and you're one of 600 kids.
Right, and you're playing in front of, the coaching staff, the GM, maybe 1 or 2 scouts from other clubs, and then everybody's parents. Like, okay, that's not going to do you any good. Where you can go to these showcases where you're going to be playing in front of, 30, 40 different clubs from all over. And again, there'll be your Tier 2 ones there. There'll be your Tier 1s there. There'll be your Tier 3s there. And again, most of the kids that are going to those showcases are going to end up in that Tier 3 or Tier 2 Canada level. At the rest, that's basically it. Those 2 levels you're going to be within. No offense, but I don't think too many kids are found for the Tier 2 level, like NA, and there's no kids really ever found for the USHL out of these showcases.
Well, it's amazing though. Like, I was out, in Denver last week and talking to Mike.
Except for CCM.
Mike said we were talking about some players who were on the ice with Angelo Ricci, who's the skills coach for the Flyers, and he's also the skills coach at University of Denver because he's a Denver alum. So he was out there with a bunch of NHL guys and current Denver players, and they're just doing a skill session between the practices that we had. It was like a noontime skate. So we're having lunch and watching the skate. And there was a player for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I can probably pull up his name, but I know I can't pronounce it. It's like Michael Isemeyer or something like that. Iseming.
Yeah,
anyway,
sure.
And he was a young player. He's like a 22, 23-year-old, something like that. And Mike and I were just talking. He's like, he's from Littleton. Did he go to CCM? He's like, yeah, he went to CCM for a couple of years. He was a young on the younger bracket. And that's where you find a lot of the kids who go to CCM, those top-end USHL kids, is in that futures bracket. And he was like, yeah, this kid did, who was at UD, and this kid who played for this team. And it's pretty phenomenal, the track record of players that they have at CCM. There you go. If you look them up, you'll find a ton of guys who are like, really high-end players, but they're all in the
for those who
bracket.
are, because we still haven't gotten onto YouTube yet, I'm holding up the 2019 CCM showcase list. So, yeah, the futures teams, for sure. Like, that's, if you're in the futures, but again, those are like 14-year-old, 15-year-old kids. Like, those are the ones who are going to get, really looked at. Actually, there's some names on here. I should go back and look and see whatever happened to them. Like, oh, you turned me down. Let's see where you ended up. Oh, you're
Isemont. That was the kid's name.
Okay.
Isemont?
Yeah, good luck. Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, good young player, though, from Littleton, but he was out there with the UD skates last week, and he went to CCM, and now he's playing for the Lightning.
That's awesome. All right, Coach, what do you got to finish us off here?
All right, the 5th one. And we kind of hit on a little bit of it. with some of the earlier things we talked about in terms of the investment of your parental dollars into your athlete, it's important. Number 5, don't forget to fit in your workouts. If it's a struggle to get your kid to do the workouts, then you need to reevaluate his long-term athletic future. Like if he's the kid who's not hungry to work out and be active, and then the idea that he's going to be a high-end college hockey player is probably not really within his reach, in all fairness. But fitting in your workouts, you shouldn't fit in your workouts. You should build your day around your workouts as a young kid, I think. Like it should be, well, I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to do this, then I can go to work. Or if I have to work, like my summer job, I can get in the gym by 5:30 at this time and be there till 7, whatever it may be. But it shouldn't be you fitting in your workouts. It should be your day is fit around your workout schedule as a young athlete. I think that's really, really important.
And for me, like some of the adults out there, probably we should do that anyways, right around our adulthood too, fit our days around our workout. But yeah, no, I don't disagree. I mean, again, there's a lot of good resources out there. I'm sure you can find them yourselves, even locally. I mean, again, I'll throw them out there. Jeff Lavecchio does a fantastic job with his training that he's got for through him that he does online training, and it's through, I forgot the app already. See, I got to come better. Train Heroic. It's, for what it's worth, it basically allows you to train on your own, but it gives you all the workouts and all that. And there's tons of guys that do stuff like that. I'm just using someone I actually is reputable and I trust, but you can also go, again, I mean, you can look in Google anybody. So I mean, I think it is important. Yeah. If your kid's not really looking to work out and just kind of doing that stuff, I mean, again, as you get older, as the players get older, they need to make sure that they're strong enough to play at these higher levels, that they're, their strides are powerful. They're explosive. They're, if they're going to get checked, they got a little bit of muscle there to, protect themselves. So, I don't disagree. It's more or less just you got to make sure you do it. And if the kid's not interested in doing it, then it might not. Make sure they know what they're getting themselves into for whatever team they're playing for the fall. So
and that's where going all those tryout camps can really throw off that schedule too. Like if you're a consistent, Monday to Saturday with a Sunday off, but you throw in now going to 4 tryout camps over the course of the summer that goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever it may be. Now you have to reevaluate your whole schedule, and it's just beating up your body prior to the start of the season, which I don't think is healthy either.
Well, that's what's funny you say that. Well, when you say that, it's funny is because this year the Chicago Blackhawks did not have any on ice rookie skate or their prospect skates. They did not go on ice whatsoever because all the players are pretty much in their middle of their summer off ice training. And a lot of them haven't even been on the ice in, a month and a half. So they didn't even do it this year on ice, which I thought which was interesting. I mean, they still did a lot of off ice stuff. They did a lot of training, but they brought in a lot of people to talk. A lot of, hey, this is how you be a professional, this and that. So I'm curious to see if that picks up steam, if it's a 1 year only. I mean, it was either that or they're really trying to hide Connor Bedard from the public. So, but anything else here, Coach, that you want to throw out there or put out there before we sign off?
No, I think that this is a good topic of discussion for hopefully parents to reevaluate what they want to do with their athletes as they and the kids what they want to do as they head into future summers. And then I'm excited about some of the guests we have coming up. So not to tease too much, but I'm excited about what the future is for the toolkit here.
Absolutely. I agree. And I don't want to tease anything. So I'm not a tease. So outside of that, I hope everybody definitely got something out of this. Again, if you, leave any comments, questions, concerns, please reach out to Coach Trimble or myself. We got it in our show notes, our emails, and our Twitter. And love to discuss whatever you got out there. So to kind of cap off the show here, I'm Trevor DiCarlo.
Andrew Trimble.
And we will see you guys next time.